Have you ever come across a lock that's very well built, has a nasty keyway, a perfect bitting, and yeah, it's well built overall, but as soon as you put a lockpick in there, it basically opens right up? Well, this is one of these locks. So, welcome to another lockpicking video. Guten Tag, let's go! Yeah, so I was very surprised with this size IKON SK6 because yeah, it is a 6-pin lock. It has a very nice bitting. Also, yeah, it is well engineered with the cam, and we'll have a detailed look on this later on once we have this picked. But when I picked this, I was very surprised how easy it opened up. I was expecting much more resistance. So enough talking, let's put it in a vise and see how it goes, picking it, and maybe we find out what's going on inside. I have my suspicions. See you back in a second. So, as usual, back in the vise. Key works fine. Tensioner, I'm using this one from Multipick. And it can go in the keyway just at the very pin side. I push on it, so counterclockwise tension, and then this very slim profile here, the V31. We start from the back on pin 6. Was binding, nice click. Some click on 5, and we got a very little core movement. I increased my tension a bit. And I think I set pin 1, nothing in the middle. Let's check pin 5 again. No. You just have to bounce on the pins a bit to find the binder. It's very subtle with this lock. And you have to really revisit some of the pins. I bet they're like have a groove on the top. We'll see later. But let's find the binding pin first. So really crank up the tension and try to find whichever pin is binding. Nothing on 1, 2, 3. They all feel set. Nice click on 4. Back to 1. Small click on 2. Small click on 3. Now 1 was binding. And we're open. So I can turn it freely. Of course, here the pins will block. And I will leave it open actually to get it from the front. But what I want to show you is the clutch or the attenuator, how you get this off. Because this is yeah, somewhat special in these size IKONs. You can just do this. And then you can take off this metal piece. And now we can take this attenuator here apart. And there should be a metal piece somewhere which I always lose, but haven't found it yet. Nope, nothing. So up here we just have something that activates if a key would be inserted from this side. I picked this side now. And this piece is here at the bottom. So the rest is standard front gutting. I'll fast forward from here on because it just takes too much time. Okay, welcome back from fast forward. I have the key right here. Let's have a look at the housing quickly. I don't know if you can see, but there's actually room for 7 pins. Here's also drill protection, nice to see. And we have 2 slots for a sidebar or something. And this is actually important because the core has a check feature here for the right key. This actually interacts with this dimple here. Of course, you don't have to pick it, but this little check pin here sits in here like this, almost like this. Come on. And if the key is inserted fully, it is flush. If you pull it out or the wrong key is inserted, it comes out and you cannot turn the lock. So quite sneaky security feature. Of course, for lock picking, it's not so important, but it's good for key control. And if you would forcefully open this lock. We have 7 holes in the Bible, but only 6 holes in this body lock, so you cannot pin this one up to 7. Maybe there are longer cores with longer keys which would allow it. And then we come to the actual tragedy of this lock, the main stack. Look at all these wafers. What a waste of security. Yeah, of course, for different levels of securities in a building and so on, different keys working with the same lock, you need master keying. So these are these little wafers here, but yeah, for lock picking this makes it much easier because it opens up many shear lines. And I've checked of all the wafers, I can only remove this one to make the key still work. What I mean by this is, well, let's insert the key. What is it for? So 4 sits flush now, if the key's at the correct position, right here. So I don't need this wafer, but for example, if I insert 3, 2, and 1, we see that they are below shear, and I will need to fill these up with the wafers provided here. So this key is only working on this pin. And yeah, 5 and 6, they don't have mastering on it, and they just are flush. But I actually need to insert these master wafers again into the lock to still have the key working. I leave this one out though. For driver pins, let's actually check. So in 4, we had the master wafer in, right? We never really saw a false set when picking this lock. And yeah, you see here in 4, the pin effectiveness tells me this thin part of the spool where I'm holding right now will never come active because it is sitting above shear. So not so nice. And I guess that's also the same for chambers 2 and 3. Let's check quickly. Yeah. Directly, if you fill these up. Yeah, you see how much room I have to push them even. Of course, if you put a spool on that, it will act more like a standard. The only nice thing about these spools is actually that if you look on these closely, you see they have a tapered or beveled edge. So yeah, you have to touch them multiple times to get the open. And I felt that really when picking this lock. What a shame. So I will probably mix up the positions a bit. well, if the spool would sit here instead of a standard pin, it would be much more fun. But at least we see some steel pins in chamber 1, so this is good for security. But man, what a waste of security, yeah? Yeah, large buildings with large key systems, this is necessary, but such lack of security. You can really hear my disappointment, hopefully. But I guess that's it on this lovely size IKON lock. I will put this all back together. Yeah, and maybe you have seen me gutting this. These can be really painful if you don't have the right front loader. And I actually switched from this one to this one because the extension piece is always a bit nasty and you need to get in between here sometimes, and this is not possible with this one, just to let you know. Okay, if you're still here, thanks for watching. If you have any questions, hit me up in the comments. I'm always happy to read your comments, and yeah, hope to see you next video. Bye. Tschüss.